Hello, welcome to Story Time. My name is Lee and I am one of the librarians here at the community library. Thanks for tuning in. Today for Story Time, we are going to be reading books about lambs and sheep. A lamb is a baby sheep, so it's really cute and small and gentle. And I picked that because there's an expression about the month of March. And that's where we are. We're in the month of March right now, that it comes in like a lion and out like a lamb. And what that means is that the month when it starts, we're in winter and it's cold and loud and rough like a lion. But then when it goes out, it's like a lamb and it's warm and gentle and soft because spring is coming. And so I thought we would read books about sheep and lambs today. So thanks for tuning in and let's get started. The first book that I am going to read is called Charlie Needs a Cloak. Story and pictures by Tommy DePaula. And let me tell you who it is published by. It is by Prentice Hall. Charlie was a shepherd. He had a cozy house, a big hat, a crook, and a flock of fat sheep. But everyone said, Charlie needs a cloak. Look at his cloak, it's kind of beat up. Poor Charlie. He really needed a new cloak. So, in the spring, Charlie sheared his sheep. He washed the wool. And carded the wool to straighten it out. Then Charlie spun the wool into yarn. Charlie wanted a red cloak, so he picked some pokeweed berries during the late summer and boiled them over a fire. Then Charlie dyed the yarn red in the berry juice. After the yarn was dry, Charlie put the strands on the loom. And every fall evening, he wove the yarn into cloth. Charlie put the cloth on the table and cut it into pieces. He pinned the pieces together. And sewed them. And then, when winter came, Charlie had a beautiful new red cloak. The end. Isn't that amazing? So from sheep, from their fur, which is called wool, you can make fabric and yarn and all sorts of good stuff. All right. So the next book I'm going to read is called Sheepdog and Sheep by Eric Barclay. He wrote it and he illustrated it. And this is published by HarperCollins. I like this book, it's kind of silly. This is Sheep. She loves to dance. She knows all kinds of fancy dances, like the wildflower dance, the mud puddle dance, the get the spider off of me dance, and, of course, the I have to pee dance. Dancing makes her happy, and when she's happy, she closes her eyes. And when she closes her eyes, she bumps into things, usually trees. But one day, she bumped into something that wasn't a tree. It was a someone, a very hairy someone. "Holy begonia," she said, "who are you?" "I'm the sheepdog," the someone replied. "I watch the sheep." "Well, I'm a sheep. I watch sheep too. Everyone knows I'm an expert at watching sheep." "I don't see how you can be much of a sheep watcher with all that hair in your eyes, but I can fix that for you. I'll be right back." She skipped off towards the farmhouse. Just then, Sheepdog spotted an eagle overhead. It was looking at sheep like a mouse looks at cheese. The eagle dived. Look at what the sheepdog did. But Sheepdog told him to vamoose. Sheep found Sheepdog waiting for her outside the farmhouse, and she tied his hair in a pretty bow. "Now you'll be able to see the sheep," she said, "except you're still missing something very important. I'll be right back." Sheepdog looked around. It was true, he could see a little better with his hair pulled up. There was the shed, and the apple tree, and the coyote. Coyote! Uh-oh! Sheepdog told him to skedaddle. Sheep returned with some binoculars. "Here you go," she said. "Now you'll be able to keep a sharp eye out for eagles and coyotes." "Now I don't suppose you have a map under all this hair, do you?" Sheepdog shook his head no. "Well, you're going to need a map so you won't get lost. Be right back." She danced her way towards the old truck to retrieve the map. The dance made her happy. She closed her eyes, and because her eyes were closed, she couldn't see that. Uh-oh, how's that bridge looking? But Sheepdog did. Sheep kept on dancing. She had some extra fancy moves. But like most of Sheep's dances, this one ended with a bump on the head. But she had meant to do that. Really? She ran right into the truck. Sheep fished the map out of the glove box and handed it to Sheepdog. "You're all set. You've got a hair bow so you can see, binoculars to keep an eye out for danger, and a map so you won't get lost." Sheep thought for a moment. "Now all we need are the sheep." She looked around, not a sheep in sight. She borrowed Sheepdog's binoculars. Still no sheep. She unfolded the map. "Yup, they are definitely in sheep country. Where are all the sheep?" she asked. "Did you lose them?" "You're the only sheep," Sheepdog said. Oh. Sheep sat down and thought about being only a sheep and not a sheep. And when she thought, she got very still. And when she got still, she got very quiet. Thinking could do that. Finally, Sheepdog spoke. "Maybe you're not a sheep. Maybe you're a dog sheep. And your job is to watch the dog. After a moment, Sheep replied, "Well, of course, I'm a dog sheep." Everyone knows I'm an expert at watching dogs. That is one silly sheep. All right, so those are two of our sheep books. Now I'm going to read another good one called Sheep in a Jeep, written and illustrated by Nancy Shaw. And this is from, what publisher? Houghton Mifflin. All right, Sheep in a Jeep. Let's find out how their adventure goes. Beep, beep. Sheep in a Jeep on a hill that's steep. Uh-oh, the Jeep won't go. Sheep leap to push the Jeep. Sheep shove, sheep grunt. Sheep don't think to look up front. Jeep goes splash, Jeep goes thud, Jeep goes deep in gooey mud. Sheep tug. Sheep shrug. Sheep yelp, sheep get help. Jeep comes out, sheep shout. Sheep cheer, oh dear, the driver sheep forgets to steer. Jeep in a heap, sheep weep. Sheep sweep the heap. Jeep for sale, cheap. And that's the last book. Oh my gosh, those silly sheep. Who knew that sheep were so incredibly silly? So thanks for tuning in. If you come by the library, I have pulled a lot of books about sheep. There's some nonfiction ones and lots of funny stories. And there are little craft kits that you can get and take home and make your very own sheep. So I hope that you come by to say hello and get your kit and get some books on sheep. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.